Hi, this is Mrs. Barb. This is the Simplify Fractions with GCF lesson. You've spent a lot of time working with GCF, and now we're going to see how we can use it with our fractions. Let's start with 1/3. And we write it. The numerator is how many we have. The denominator is the type or the kind. 1/3, 1/3. And as you went through to find equivalent fractions, you went through the fourths and nothing matched. You went through the fifths and nothing matched. And finally you found a match with the sixths. You remember this lesson from a few weeks back? And there was two of them. 1, 2 equals 2, 6. Then we went through the sevenths, and those didn't fit. Eighths didn't fit, but the ninths did. Remember how many? 1, 2, and a third one. 3 ninths were the same. Oh, got a little wonky there. Come on, let's get it in there. There we go. 1, 2, 3 ninths. Could we go any further? Tenths didn't work. 11ths, we don't even have 11ths or 12ths in our fraction circles. So I wanted to show you how to find that next fraction just by looking at the patterns. The patterns of our numerators. Notice our numerators are going 1, 2, 3. So if we can follow patterns to find equivalent fractions, the numerator of our next one should be 4. How about the denominator? See a pattern there? 3, 6, 9, 12. If we had 12ths and if we had 4 of them, they would be the same size as all of these. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite these fractions, just flipping them since they're all the same size. It doesn't matter which order we write them in. I can go 4 twelfths is equal to 3 ninths, which is equal to 2 sixths, which is equal to 1/3. Now that 1/3 is what we started with. It's the simplest one to look at. 1/3 is easy to imagine. It's much easier to imagine even than 3 ninths in your head. So that would be the most simple of all of these that are equal. And that's where we get this, the simplifying word from. Now you could simplify fractions by using equivalent fractions and just go on and on for bigger numbers. That's a lot of work. So what I'd like to show you is how to simplify fractions using GCF. You've been doing a lot of GCF work also, and so we're going to use that. Finally, you're probably wondering, why are we using all of this GCF? It helps us to find that simple fractions. It helps us to simplify the fractions so that we can imagine them. Cleaning up the board here. Let's take that 4 twelfths that we had before. I'm going to write a little bit bigger. If we find the GCF of the numerator and the denominator, and we use that to find our simplified fraction, and here's how. First, let's just do our GCF of 4, fraction bar. It has 2 factors. 2 times 2 is 4. They're prime, so I'm going to circle them. Now let's do the same thing for 12 over here. Let's see, what 2 factors make 12? 3 times 4 does. I can use those. I could use 2 times 6 also, but I'm going to use 3 times 4 just for fun. 3 times 4, 3 is prime, 4 is not, so we can find more factors for 4, and 2 and 2 are the factors of 4. Now all the factors of 12 are prime. Now let's find the ones that we have in common and put them back together. I see That will give us our GCF, our greatest common factor. We got all our factors. Let's find which ones are in common. This 2 and this 2. Okay, so it's got a 2 in common. We'll bring that down. This 2 and this 2. Okay, let's bring that one down too. Sorry, that's a funny multiplication sign. There we go. 2 times 2 is 4. So our GCF is 4. Now, I'm going to write in some little thoughts on how to use GCF on both the numerator and the denominator. I'm going to write them really tiny because they're just my little thoughts, and eventually we don't need to write in our little thoughts. But for now, it's helpful to write in little thoughts. If I take 4 and divide it by my GCF, which is 4, here's my little thoughts, divided by 4. Whatever I do to the top, I have to do to the bottom so that I don't really change the value of this fraction. So I'll divide that one by 4 too, my little thoughts there. Now we can find that simplified fraction. 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. Do you remember the 1/3 from when we started? That 4/3 was in fact the same equivalent as 1/3. And this is the way we got it with GCF. Let's try another one with GCF. Let's try 18/24. Bigger numbers. We don't have 24ths. Can't even imagine what that looks like. So we're going to get our GCF going. 18 tree and our 24 tree. 18, let's see, how about 2 times 9? 2 is prime, circle it. 9 is not, so it's going to have some more factors. 3 times 3 is 9. Let's circle those, they're prime. All right, let's do 24. How about 4 times 6? 4 times 6 is 24. 24 has a lot of factors. And neither of those are prime, so we have to make some more branches on this tree. 2 and 2 are factors of 4, so we'll circle them, they're prime. And factors of 6 are 2 and 3. They are both prime, we'll circle them. All right, so we're getting our GCF. We found all of the F in GCF. Now let's find the common factors. Greatest common factor. Let's see. 2 and 2, they are in common. Let's bring that down to our GCF. Got any more? 3 and 3. Oh yeah, there's some. There's a pair. Let's bring that 3 down. It has 3 in common. Does it have another 3? Nope. How about over here? Does it have any more 2s? Nope. We found all of our common factors. Let's put them together. And our GCF is, our greatest common factor is 6. Okay, get my black pen and I'm going to write in my little thoughts. If I divide both the numerator and the denominator by my GCF, I will get my simplified fraction. Here's my little thoughts. Divided by GCF is 6. Oh, I've got to do to the bottom. Whatever I do to the top, we have to do to the bottom to keep them equivalent. Write an equal sign because they are going to be equivalent. 18 divided by 6 in the numerator would give me 3. And 24 divided by 6 in the denominator gives me 4. That is my simplified fraction. I can't simplify it anymore because I use GCF. But also, look at it. It had 3 is prime. I can't go down any further. And I can't divide this by 3 because that would not be a nice even number. It doesn't divide nicely. So, even though that's not prime, you can't divide it by 3. Get another fraction. We don't want to do that. So our simplified fraction is 3/4. And 3/4 is so much easier to imagine than 18/24. So whenever we see a fraction, we have to look, can we simplify it so that we can imagine it. We always want to simplify fractions whenever we can. And this is how to simplify fractions using GCF. Thanks for watching. Have fun with your follow-up.